What?
And someone just let me know that the record button had stopped recording.
Oh.
Well, thank you. There's 50 people and 14 on Blab, but 50 on the web. I hit start again, bum, because it had started recording, but I guess when it glitched, it stopped. Yes, so I remember hearing, I don't know who or where I heard it from, but I heard the spirit doesn't need us. The spirit is not concerned with enlightenment or expansion. Only the ego is. And I was like mind blowing, like the spirit just, when we are in spirit, we are expanded, we are enlightened. Only the ego. And I was just like, okay, that makes sense. And then the other thing you just said was a real gift to me. You said any moment we're not in that place is a gift. And that immediately brought my thinking to, it just flooded my mind with all these little moments. So one of my favorite times is at the end of the day, my husband and I crawl in our big bed. We have a Tempur-Pedic. We're very pro Tempur-Pedic and anti-sleep number. That's been a discussion this weekend. And our dogs crawl up in bed with us and we watch our shows. It's very boring probably to the most of the world. Sometimes he likes to go out and listen to music, but we have our couple of hours that's our time. And most people would probably say that is so boring, but it is a time when my heart, I have everything I need. Yes, the Tempur-Pedic bed kind of costs something, and my husband and I have talked, if we just had each other and the dogs in a comfortable place to lay down, we would have all that we need.
Exactly.
And to me, that's this very human moment of being in that, or having my feet in the grass, or playing with the dogs, or playing in my garden. You know, I have so many more moments of. What I'm saying is that I like the recognition of the moments where I am connected, and to focus on those, it's so much easier. And then even to hear my spirit say, oh, sweetheart, you've made beautiful progress. Like the fact that you can release XYZ material things, we'll take care of your need for recognition when it's time and as it comes. And I hear that, just that soothing. Yeah, I hear the release of judgment.
Yeah, there's no rush. You don't have to go to some far shore right now. You can, and it's also nice when we hear that tenderness inside, when we can have the capacity to hear a softer voice that says, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Right.
Which is never a pleasant voice.
No. Stacy, are you still here? Let me ask her what that, we were talking about this on the Blab. Stacy, are you still here?
It's been a while.
She may not be. Oh, Stacy, the quote in your book. So she just typed in the side. The quote in your book that talks about the thing that Confucius should have said. She's hilarious. Instead of what Confucius says, it's what Confucius should have said. What is it that Confucius should have said about being tender with the heart? Let me give her a second to type that up. I thought my book was going to come today.
Your copy of her book?
Yes, I thought it was going to come today, but I got it last night via technology. Are you going to type it for us, Stacy? She's probably looking for it. What did I write? I wrote that so long ago. It was something along the lines of being tender and gentle with our heart as it unfolds, instead of beating the walls of our heart with a sledgehammer.
Oh.
And I'm slaughtering her quote. It's a big visual in her book. And then she put what Confucius should have said. So I thought that was hilarious. But it's so true, just trying to remember that hitting the walls of our heart and our spirit with a sledgehammer, opening the petals of your tender heart, she's saying down here.
I like your language.
Is so much easier.
And
taking a sledgehammer to it. Isn't that good? And how many of us take that sledgehammer?
Oh, all the time. Stacy, that's beautiful. It's really
awesome. Thank you, Stacy.
Opening the petals of your tender heart is so much easier than taking a sledgehammer to its walls. So true. How often every one of us forgets and grabs that sledgehammer first. It's kind of like when you want a bazooka for a fly. You go, overkill can't hurt. You know? Exactly, right? You know, so we just do that to ourselves, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And see, this is what so I'm back to this.
Uh-huh.
So a little context too is I've spent the last 2 years really in divine feminine energy and all allowing and receiving, because I call myself a recovering overachiever, where everything was do, masculine, create, you know, being the best at anything I could be the best at in and never slowing down. And I spent the last 2 years in total feminine or learning and immersing. I haven't left the feminine. But the energies that came for me beginning mid-year were the star and the heart. So to combine the heart-centeredness with the masculine of inspired action. So that's kind of the place I'm in. And I think that's why I have this pull to go, okay, here's all the heart stuff and the impact on the head part of your work, right? So by being in the heart and by sharing your work or sharing your heart and showing your work from this place, not from the logical system, but from this place, what have you seen in your business or in your, when we froze earlier, I was saying, I know you have at least one new subscriber to your newsletter, because I signed up for those meditations and was so happy to go and get on your, you know, whatever you call it, your list or your tribe or your newsletter or whatever. I was so happy to go. And when the emails come through and it's not like you have some setup that comes afterward and bombards me with emails. It just was, here's your beautiful meditations. And I am curious, and I think people are too, what has there been an impact outside of the feel good in this present moment in your business and in your life?
Yes, there has, but I'm sort of feeling into how I want to answer that. So, on a just a factual basis, there's been an increase. I've gotten probably maybe 20 subscribers to my list, which is not a huge bump in a list. You know, it's a little bump. I've gotten a couple of people who've inquired about doing some. And I know I have a lot of people that are interested if I was to put out some product that they would be interested in. But again, to me, this doesn't really have any meaning.
Yeah.
Because, I don't mind taking on more clients, but I'm not doing this for more clients. I'm not doing this for more of my traditional business.
Yeah.
I'm really doing this because I want to enter into a relationship with this way of working at this joint in my life, this juncture in my life. I really have no idea where it's going to take me. So I'm aware of those things, but I'm not having them mean anything. I'm not worried about, okay, this is a metric I want to rely on to see about success or sales or growing popularity. And Alex Tippett?
Pettit?
Yeah, Alex Pettit. Great guy on the scope tips and stuff like that. He was talking about they haven't worked out the retention rate yet. It's on 0 for everyone scopes. But he said, and I really hear this, that the main thing is not how many people stop in, not how many people, even how many hearts you get. But truthfully, how long do people stay engaged?
Yeah.
A lot of people come on and they're in and out in 30 seconds or a minute.
Yep.
And that's okay. The idea of having people leave is fine because that should be the choice, always.
Mm-hmm.
But you'd like to have a feeling that if you're doing something and people are finding it valuable, that they're engaging. That's interesting to me. So I'd be more interested in looking at engagement overall than in how many people I get on my list.
I'm one of those people that believes, so like those 20 people that left Periscope, I actually left Periscope in the middle of one of your scopes and I went to your list and signed up because I tend to forget things. So I did it and I came back, helped reset my hearts anyways.
Thank you.
But those 20 people are better than any 20,000 that you could buy Or does that make sense? I'm a very big, to me, I call it organic list growth. And that's, I don't even like to call it list, because it's really, I bet those 20 people are also the same. There are also 20 people that will be on your scopes as much as possible, or probably talking. So it's really about the engagement.
Yes.
And then, so how are you measured? I don't measure. So that's kind of a hard word, because I'm done measuring. And yet, do I notice that there's 59 people here? Yeah, I notice it. Do I notice if new names come into my periscopes? Yeah, I notice it. And I think, like you, it's like, oh, maybe I am doing something that's blessing people. Is really not, oh, I'm going to get a sale or I'm going to get a client, because that's not what I'm thinking. But it's another place to express this thing that's bubbling up.
Right.
That once.
And let me just tell you, if I was to step out of myself for a minute, I was to speak theoretically, I would say that I think that people have a chance of having much more success and satisfaction in their careers by truly being themselves and not being someone else, putting their heart forward and letting people get to know, like, trust, and feel them. That those are really, really helpful for developing your business in life. But the trick, like we were saying earlier, is to do it without attachment to people. The moment that you are nice and loving and present and generous, the idea of, when do I get paid? It sends out, I think, something that other people feel, even if they consciously cannot.
Yeah, the needy is creepy.
Right, exactly, and it pushes people back. So I do think that an interesting thing, like that's the experiment. I'm not doing this for a reason other than, well, maybe it'll increase business, but if it doesn't, that's okay. And that's not really why I'm doing this. What I think that I'd love to be able to do is to devote myself more. That's what I really would love to be able to do. And to be able to teach, because if you teach from anywhere you want, teach live anywhere, that ideal appeals to me for this section of my life. I still love my individual work, but this is a journey into seeing about whether that might happen.
I love that, because it's like, I had a client that got a contact from a Periscope that is a really huge opportunity for her work to be in front of 55,000 people. And all she's ever wanted to do was get the heart message out. And I think that I love what you said, if you give people a chance to get to know the real you. I can think of so many people that once Periscope came out, like Gannon Carr. I've known Gannon on Facebook for 2 years, if not longer. But now I know Gannon differently. I know her differently. And it's so fun to be in her backyard or her porch, or not to mention the connections of people that I didn't know before. And so it's interesting, because that impact is already happening. So be it if right aligned work comes from it, but that impact is already happening. It's exciting to watch.
Yes.
It's exciting to watch that spread.
And it's also, it feels to me like it's in partnership with the universe. In other words, she wasn't doing this so that she could get an opportunity to present it to 55,000 people. But if she's remaining true to her heart and someone felt it, it just so happened that the universe says, hey, would you like a chance to get your message out to 55,000 people?
Right.
Like, again, I wouldn't look that in the mouth and go, nah, no thanks. But I'm not doing it with any idea of that. But I do think, and this is more belief than think. I don't really know this in experience. My sense is that there's an ultimate coming back around at some level. Now, it may not be financial. It may be with love. It may be spiritual. It may be opportunities. It may be in ways that we can't even predict right now. My sense is if you really are putting stuff out there, stuff comes back around. It may not be tit for tat, but comes back.
Oh, exactly. That's a word I use a lot, that the energy of abundance. I teach a prosperity course. The energy of prosperity, the energy of money, the energy of love, all of it is not, it's never tit for tat. It's not what you reap, that specific plant you'll sow. Mm-hmm. It's planting the whole field. I gave the analogy of I planted a bunch of different sunflowers all the same day, planted them all. And a couple got weed whacked. One grew really big and fast. Two grew really slow, and one more in the front kind of grew medium. And it was so fascinating because they were all planted at the same time. And so it's kind of like that. It's like you just give out. You put, if I were to draw it, I'm going to draw this circle, right? This cycle that we just put into the flow, and something always comes up and carries us. And we put back in. We just step into it, right? We're never blocked from it. We just either step in or step out.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, and the other thing I'll say about her is I watched her doing her scopes when 6 people were on. And then Shalene Johnson mentioned her. And so she went from 20 viewers to 1,000 followers in a matter of 2 days. And she does the same loving scope for 6 people as she does for 300 or 400 now that are joining her scopes. And that's the kind of, I think that's why I wanted you, because you wouldn't look a gift horse in the mouth, especially if it was right aligned, but it's not in order to. It is, I'm just getting people, I'm sharing my heart. And my heart comes through the work that I do. Oh, I love it. Okay, we're at 5:20. Does anybody want to tap this man's amazing spirit and brain or ask any questions? If you do, just to come hop in one of the seats. We've got a few minutes for questions. My husband is cooking bacon. Bouncing off. Bye, Stacy Nelson. Thank you. Don't you love that quote? Opening the petals of your heart is so much easier than taking a sledgehammer to its walls.
I'm thinking about having that tattooed on my chest.
Oh my gosh. I'll have to send you a copy of her book.
Okay. I'd love that.
Oh, it'll be a while. We know how I am with the post office.
I got a lot to read.
Annalisa, will you hop on, or did you say no, you are not going to hop on tonight?
Girl.
She's not going to hop on.
Yeah.
Okay, Bruno's coming. Let's see what Bruno has to say. Oh, did it go away? Bruno, try. Did you want to come on or no? We've got an open seat if somebody wants to ask any questions.
Someone wants to hang out and tell jokes.
Someone wants to hang out and tell jokes.
Oh, how's it going, guys? Great.
We'll play a game. We play a game. I play this game with my kids. We used to play it at the dinner table. I still play it. They're in college now, and I still play it. We call it good thing, bad thing. So you get to choose good thing or bad thing first.
Good thing.
And bad is relative. It's just for the sake of the conversation. We call it rose and thorns. Some people call it. My husband's laughing at me. So good thing, bad thing about Periscope. Which one you want to share first?
A good thing.
Okay, what's the good thing?
You get to connect in an almost instant way with people from everywhere in all walks of life. And you have this live interaction, really not found in other venues in this kind of way. It's friggin' amazing. Mm-hmm. That's a beautiful thing.
It's I love it. And I've met people from all over. And some of those conversations have gone offline and Skyping with people and stuff like that. What's one thing you wish Periscope would do better?
Not crap out in the middle of broadcasts.
Oh.
I've only gotten kicked off once as a broadcaster, but regularly I have people telling me about how they bounce out. Now, it could be because of their reception, but I also know that as Periscope is trying to keep up with 14.
It's grown so fast.
It's just that I just think that people just get bounced off. And so I think that that's frustrating, and then people give up. You know, crap, I can't do this, and so I feel bad about that. I feel like, you know, but again, it's still a gift.
Sarah and I, when we did our blab, and Sarah was she was the first person I saw on Periscope, and I knew her just a little bit, and just had a quick conversation with her about it, and she was really encouraging to me, because I was like, why would anybody want to see me paint, you know, whatever. And so she was one of the, you know, the pioneers for me on Periscope, and clearly was an early adopter, because she'd been on for a few months when I got on. And when we did our blab, we had the worst technology problems, and it turned out perfect, because by the end, the last 15 minutes was all anybody needs to hear. But it was discouraging, it was frustrating, and it was also a good practice of everything is happening perfectly. Everything really is, that life is happening for us, even in this annoying moment.
Exactly. I just want to appreciate Sarah's comment there. It's important for you to know how much Periscope helped people like me when I met all of you. It's really sweet, Sarah.
Yeah.
And my wife, who's not coming on Scope, did say, if anyone's curious, there's my website. If you want to learn more about me, you do not have to go there. But if you do, and you're willing to submit a name and an email address, you can get 2 free meditation downloads on loving kindness. And then if you want, you can jump off my mailing list after that. This is just to give you access to the teachings, or if you want to stay on the list, I'll let you know of other trainings and teachings I do online.
I'm so glad. Is there anything else you want to invite people to experience with you?
Oh, yeah, there is. I just don't know. Well, we're doing a book club right now. We're doing it on this book, A Year to Live with Stephen Levine. And it's about intentionally engaging a year's worth of conscious practice regarding the year is what if this was my last year on earth? What would I do? How would I be differently? Mm-hmm. That's one thing that I'm interested in. I'm interested in really taking people deeper towards themselves, learning how to turn towards their own experience instead of habitually away from it, which is what most of us do. Mm-hmm. Those are the things I think that, you know, that at least on Periscope, I'm trying to make available to people, ways of getting unstuck and ways of turning towards their own self.
Love it. I experienced your meditation, and I recently had a reconciliation with a girlfriend that I had distanced myself from, that we had distanced ourselves from each other. And it was very difficult for me to forgive. I held a grudge. And that was one of the things I had to apologize, was that you hurt me and I held a grudge. Right. And the day that we agreed to talk and had a long conversation on the phone and just healed that, you know, the beginning of the healing of that was the day that I got those heart opening meditations. Is it heart awakening or heart opening?
They're called loving kindness, but
where you start in and you start with, like you said, you know, the first one was start with something that you really love and that it really works. And my dog is sitting right there and it's so easy to love, and it just expanded out. And it was the perfect balm. You know, I felt like my scar was a little crusty from having that conversation with her, so to speak. And as I listened to that before I went to bed, it was just the perfect way to close out that very specific day. So those have already been miracles and supportive of my life. And that's one thing that I am a very loving person, but I am also, I'm like an anemone sometimes. When I get stung, I shut down. And if you come anywhere near me, I will chop your head off. I hate to admit it, but it's true. And so, but that's one of the things I am actively working on right now, is allowing that, and allowing, just letting it be, and not having to rip somebody's head off or hold a grudge for a year or forever.
So this is how I hear them, is that tells me that your nervous system is strong and reactive. And when it gets torqued in a particular way, you find yourself dragged by your limbic system. You find yourself dragged by anger, fight, or flight. Mm-hmm. And even though you know there's a deep part of you that is heart-loving, very spiritually oriented, profoundly forgiving, You find that you can get in this state that you don't identify with. It's not part of your usual self, right? But it's a behavior that comes up, and you know it's a behavior. So here's the first thing I'd say is, A, it's not you. Because it's not part of identity. It is
Right.
physiology. And then the other thing is that this is a wonderful work. I used to hold grudges too. I used to be very, very angry, very, very reactive. I still can get that way. That's just how all of us are wired. Some of us more so, some of us are less so, but I came from a very reactive wiring. So it's an interesting dance to do, but it's a really great thing to work with. Is because, damn it, anger is going to keep showing up.
Yeah.
Perfect, you know.
The book that I started and haven't finished writing, and just one of my themes, and I've drawn a lot of artists around Let Love Win, and I posted, why is Let Love Win one of my mantras, like my core mantras, because it's the thing that I work on the most is, and on the Periscope beforehand, just to launch this off, I was talking about, somebody asked, when you're not feeling shiny and you don't feel like sharing your heart, what do you do? And one of the things, the exercises I talked about was when we're not feeling shiny, or when I'm feeling like I'm pissed off, I am having the experience of forgetting who I am instead of remembering my I amness. And so anytime I am, even if I may not be able to go from holding that grudge to euphoric joy, but I can at least go to this soothing place and go, okay, I am light, I am love, I am connected. And I slowly move back up into, well, that this young lady contacted me and I was like, I ain't fucking talking to you. That was literally my response. And I was like, yeah, no, I am not talking to you. And then I was like, of course I'm going to talk to you. Just give me a few days. I had to work. Because I didn't want to do it out of obligation, because that's not love either. I had to get to a place of, no, I'm willing to do this, right? To open literally physically open my breastplate, my chest, my heart, and whatever happens will be, and surrender to that place of no expectations from the conversation, but I will go in. And I still, even where open-hearted has been one of my themes, just working on that and soothing that. So thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, to me, working with my heart is the practice of my life. Mm-hmm. And I don't always do it well. And I find that no matter how much work I've done a lot, and my heart's softer and much more open, I still have a lot of things that can cause my heart to close in a flash. Just a flash,
I'm glad that I'm laughing about mine, right? Instead of like, closing off, at least laughter is a higher vibe, right? Laughter raises our vibe.
Well, it's also if you're laughing, you're seeing it with a sense of compassion and spaciousness.
Yes.
Instead of hating yourself for, God damn it, I'm still angry. Getting angry that you're still angry.
Yeah. Don't y'all just love how soothing he is? Like I can't help, I already kind of have a highly energetic pace sometimes, but I always find myself mirroring and matching, like slowing to your calmness and your open-heartedness and your peace. And it's really nice. It is. And soothing, that word soothing, there's so, it's beating, instead of beating the walls of our heart, I think soothing is a portal. It's a huge, well, no kidding, you work with trauma, right? And we don't jump the bridge from trauma to healing. We've got to be soothed first. And I think soothing is an important, I don't know, that's just one of the things I experience with you is just soothing energy. And anytime I am soothed, no matter what it is, I always end up in the energy of love. Always. So thank you for that.
You're very welcome. And I think that there's a reason for that, is that as we get quieter, as we get soothed, mm-hmm. as we move out of the chronic state of fight or flight, our nervous systems have a chance to open to other emotions. Mm-hmm. There's this whole work of this interesting theorist, and I don't want to ignore Sarah asked us a question, but I wanted to say, she was asking about what's the best way to snap out of anger. But what was saying right before I got lost in this, because that was a shiny object.
Soothing is the way through, soothing.
Right. So whenever we access a state that's less aroused, less automatically driven by the survival instinct of fight or flight or freeze, We have access to what we call this other network, the social attunement network. And we can not only read and receive love, but we can emanate a sense of relatedness and spaciousness and caring that you cannot do if you're cooking your brain. If you really activated or aroused, your brain is evolved. That love is not in the question right now. The question is survival. Your brain is going to say, look, we're not even thinking about love. You just have to think about safety and survival. Mm-hmm. And so we forget when we're in that space that love is an option. Yeah. Because it's not even in our option catalog, because our
neutrality is an option. Right. Even before getting to love, just getting to neutral is an option.
Exactly. You think, you know what? I'm going to bomb that sucker. I'm just going to blow that sucker up, because that's where you go. So Sarah's question was, so when you get angry, what's the best way to snap out of it? And it's always interesting to me, because I'm not big on snapping out of anything. I think that if you're angry for some reason, there's a reason that you're angry. You're pissed off. And that has to be at least acknowledged, honored, and respected. Someone did something that caused an event or something occurred that you became angry about. Usually underneath the anger, there's pain, there's sadness, there's loss, there's some triggering, and then we get angry. And so the best thing that I recommend is instead of trying to suppress or jump over the anger, you drop the story and you pay attention to how it's showing up in the body. You feel the way that anger inhabits your muscles and your tissues. It really takes over. It really gets you to contract. It really gets you to tense your muscles down. Your breathing almost stops. You become very looping in your brain. You get really caught by this state. You are in trance. So the first step is in recognizing that you're in a state of anger, and then just actually being with the physical sensations of it. If you stay with the physical sensations of it, even just imagining breathing in and out from wherever they are, they will eventually morph. And you will find yourself less angry. Just like Allison, you were just sharing, when you get soothed, your heart naturally goes from an anger, irritated, rushing, struggling place to a place of kind of spontaneously just sort of opening. You don't even have to tell yourself, okay, I'm calmer now, I should open up. What you find is that's just a natural outgrowth for you of slowing down, of calming down. Is our nervous systems are wired. When we slow down, we are able to be open to a whole other realm of emotional information than just being caught in a narrow state.
I become the noticer of my anger instead of the experiencer of my anger.
Nice. Love that distinction.
That way, I'm just now having this thought. So I'm not necessarily leaving my anger. I'm noticing it and I'm being with it instead of channeling it.
Exactly. Feeding it.
And usually when I channel it, it's with a really big stick or a few foul language words.
Right. Well, the story, because I've done that too, the story keeps putting gas on the fire, keeps igniting it. I mean, it used to be in therapy that, you'd have these kids that would have a lot of anger issues and you give them phone books to rip up. And the idea that you'd exhaust the anger. And, for one kid, I had a closet full of phone books. And at the end of that session, I had 3 feet of paper on my floor, literally all over my office, ripped up. And this kid could have gone on for another 5 hours.
Yeah.
To just fuel anger, to just get into the story of it again and again and again and again and again, just keeps it going. That's not to say that there isn't a message in anger we should listen to. But if your friend bumped up against your feelings, there's a reason to have anger. But there's something different about holding it for so long. Even if you decide, I need to keep a boundary, because that may be the safest or most protective or skillful thing to do, one could do it without the energy of anger. One could just do it.
Well, the energy of anger doesn't get you anywhere. I remember having an argument. It was like one of the turning points in my marriage. And I remember having the argument was starting with my husband. And we were both, for years, he is very calm and I was just inflammatory. I came from people that we just lost our shit real easy and screamed and yelled. And so I would react really quickly. And I felt myself starting to relax, and through therapy and through work, I said, hold on, I'll be right back. And I went into our bathroom and I sat down on the bathtub edge and I just breathed. I needed to pull myself from the situation for just a second. Used to, I would run. just a second, and I breathed, and I said, what am I afraid of? Like, what is little Allison? What am I afraid of? And all of a sudden, when I noticed my fear, then I wasn't angry anymore. I was sad. And so when I walked back out, I gave him my experience of sadness instead of my experience of anger. And we ended up having a much more, it was a conversation we could absolutely work with.
Well, because if you come at me with anger,
yeah,
I'm a good human. I'm going to put my anger back.
Yep.
If you come at me with pain, and I'm not a sadistic shit,
right,
I'm actually going to respond to your pain with sensitivity.
Yeah.
The work that you did by taking a time out let you tap into a level of your feeling that was also true.
Yes.
But which also then provided you a way of connecting.
Yeah. And
it's the connection that's healing. Because when I'm angry, I'm thinking, like, for example, if I'm angry with Annalisa, I'm usually making up a story about her.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not seeing her. And if we connect again and I get to see her and feel her, not through my projections of her, but see her and feel her again, my anger will just not be anger anymore.
Yeah.
So what you did was a really interesting and powerful, really quick hack.
Well, I've been, and ever since then, you know, probably 97% of the time, but as soon as that comes up, like, just train myself, you know, so Sarah asked when we get angry, is I've trained myself to stop and breathe. That stop and breathe works for everything for me. And if it's anger, is what am I afraid of? What's the fear or the pain? And because I know now that anger is just that shield for the pain.
Yes.
And if I can at least notice and identify that, then every single time my shoulders go from this to, oh.
Exactly. You can feel it right away, right?
Oh my gosh. And anytime, you know, if I go out in anger, I'm accusing, and it doesn't do anything. And if I just say, listen, you didn't do anything. And I'm experiencing, this happened this weekend. I said, you didn't do anything. I'm just experiencing, I would like a little more connection. We got a lot of family stuff going on, and I just need to feel you. I haven't seen you in a week, right? But the old me would have gotten pissed and blamed it on him being out, you know, all this other stuff. And he was wonderful with it. And he, you know, he just did his thing. I don't mean to get into too much personal stuff without my husband's permission.
What you're sharing, Allie, is you're sharing that you're watching the fruits of your practice are producing a change in your physiology. So you're not getting as ejected from yourself as quickly and as extremely. You're able to find a way back, and you're able to move back. And this is key. With anger, with loneliness, with sadness, we tend to go into an alone spot, a spot outside of relationship. Connection is coming back into relationship. And you're finding that your usual physiology would take you out of relationship. And you're working with it in a very skillful way towards actually coming back into relationship, even when it's really hot. You know, it's easy to come back in relationship when you're well-rested, well-fed, really chilled out, everything is going good, the dogs aren't barking, the kids don't need anything, you got time. That's easy. That's like falling off a log. It's much harder to come back into relationship when you're pissed off and part of you is thinking, if I had a club, I would think about using it right now. And then to decide I'm not going to go there, I'm going to instead work with myself. That's beautiful.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Annalisa, will you throw up Jeffrey's website again in case you guys want to find out more about him?
You can go to my website. If she puts it up, she will. It's drjeffreyrutstein.com.
You're also on Facebook and Twitter and Periscope and Blab. Please tell me you're going to be doing some more Blabs, especially since you like, I mean, you guys could do book club in Blab where y'all could facilitate it and then have, you know, take questions or conversations from the group.
That would be very interesting to think about. Wow.
I'm thinking about, I'm playing around with this class, my Share Your Heart, Share Your Work class, which I'm going to make an invitation to in a minute. I like to call them invitations. There's never an obligation, but it's like, hey, want to come into my living room for 6 weeks? But I was thinking about, you know, I have 6 teaching sessions in that, but I also am going to do 6 Q&A sessions. And I thought I would do Blab, but the only people that would get up in the seats are the paid clients, right? But it would be open just kind of like an open room, but there would be the, what do you call it, the premium seating, right? The premium seating would be for the students, and other people could just be flies on the wall. But I've thought about, just for the experience of giving people the practice with the technology, right? To come and experience the forums, because I love just even the intimacy of the conversation we had today. I know that somebody watched. Even Sarah said thank you, right? Like just the impact of being able to watch the conversation and to hear some of the ideas. I know that has to be getting love and awareness, and maybe even that softening. Somebody will put the bat down, not only with their partners, but on their own heart.
Exactly.
That's a big one. Put the bat down on your own heart.
Right.
And so anything else, any final parting words before we close out?
And Annalisa was kind enough to put up my website on the side there if you want to do that. Anything else anybody would like to ask, say, share? Pantomime.
I will be putting up this, be putting up the replay of this and a link to your site. Is that correct? Is that right for y'all, or is it backwards?
That's right. Looks great.
Oh, good. Okay. It's yeah, it shows reverse. So AllisonCrow.com/blabchats.
Yep.
It's kind of long, but blab chat. So I'll be putting up the replay there, and a link to Jeffrey's website as well. Perfect. And there you'll also find a link to, and one of the whole reasons, other than the fact that I just adore you, but one of the reasons is because you model so well the share your heart, show your work, and you don't have the in order to there. And that's actually what I have found, that when you don't have the in order to is when the magic happens, not only from the heart side, but the bank account side too. It's like this paradox.
I think that in some ways, when you're showing up as love and offering, the universe meets you. And again, we have no idea how it's going to be, but I can't help but think that something will happen out of this that will be in some way nourishing, satisfying, fulfilling, loving. It may or may not have money attached to it. It may just be interesting and fun things. And again, even if nothing happens, that's great, but I'm really open to just putting in my piece and seeing what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
I really appreciate you taking the time with me, Allison. I really.
Thank you for just being here, for sharing, God, just your presence, your words, your heart, your love, and you really modeling, sharing the essence of who you be. I know I'm impacted by the essence of who you be, and the cherry on top is that is not, it's a gift to our hearts, but it's a gift to those people out there that do, maybe they're not in a comfortable place financially. Maybe their businesses are still struggling. And I do believe that can really be, you guys, who you be is 90% of your business. Actually, if not more, it's like 98%. The what you do is what you do comes before the results, but what comes before what you do is who you be. And so spending the majority of your time and your work and your essence and what you give to others, the who you be, is actually, it's not a model or a system, but it is the secret sauce, I think, I have found, to happy prosperity, to happy abundance. And I'm not just talking about abundance and prosperity in money. That's included, but prosperity of love, of time, of energy, of relationship, of impact, of money, of all the ways that we can be prosperous, is all about who you be. And you model that and are willing, you're more than willing to do that in your regular life, but to hop online and share that with the world. That's the whole theme of the Share Your Heart, Show Your Work class that I'll be leading in October.
And if I can just say something else, I think that class sounds fascinating, and I think it's a great thing for people to learn, and to have the opportunity to learn with you, I think would be very precious.
Thank you.
And as you know, Annalisa and I have gone through some really rough times lately. And so what's been interesting to us is we really did this because of wanting to give. But we have received a kind of blessing just from the way that people have been with us.
Mm-hmm.
And that it was totally unexpected and joyfully received. But we both feel much richer for what we're doing in every sense of the word.
Mm-hmm. I have a theory. We could talk forever. Last year I did a talk for this company, Red Key Realty, out of St. Louis. They always hire me to be their spiritual teacher, and I'm usually drinking a glass of wine and sharing F-bombs. And the title of my talk last year, so they do a mindfulness, and can't remember, I'm the mindfulness part. I'm supposed to be the mindfulness part. And the title of my talk was "Nobody Wants to Buy Real Estate from Somebody with a Stick Up Their Ass." And you being into the physiology, right? The body always knows. This is true, right? So here's the thing. Even if anything we can do that helps us feel better from a holy place. I'm not talking gluttonous feel better. I'm talking about from the inside out place. But when we feel good, right? So for me, it's painting too, right? Sometimes it's painting, and that has nothing to do with social media or whatever. But when we engage in something that helps us feel good, when we do know that we're having an impact and we feel good, how can we not help but shine? And we've all had experiences where somebody walks into a room, or we walk into a room and experience somebody, and they got a stick up their ass. And you don't want to be around that person without them even saying a word. Their physiology is like, yeah. And so take that into business. Nobody wants to buy from that. Nobody wants to hire that. I don't want to hire a realtor, a therapist, a coach, a marketer, a book designer, whatever it is. I don't want to experience. I don't want to be with a weight person, any of that stuff. And so that's the other thing. It's like, just when we be in that fullness place, people do. They want to be around you. They want to show up. They want to engage.
Some people do, and that's the trick too. Not everyone will.
Right.
The people who respond to it are not going to be resonant with that. I just need to grab my cord because my computer is just about to shut off. Hold on a second.
Yep. Hi, Donna. Catching over the side. I'm the chatty one. I would like to say again that you showed me a way to improve accepting my defects without having to believe that life can be 100% perfect. Because 100% is so hard to believe. Thank you, Sarah, for sharing that. I always say that the imperfection is perfect. I've learned that through painting. The mess is the masterpiece. This is one of my clients 7 years ago, Robin Sino, and I came up with the phrase, the mess is the masterpiece.
I love that.
Yeah, the imperfection is really perfect. So absolutely, Sarah, enjoy. And that's what I love. That's why I'm willing to share some of there's pretty much one thing I don't share my sex life with my husband, and I don't share my morning constitution with the world. And other than that, I'm pretty much an open book. I share the good, I share the difficult, I have been known to share my insecurities, and I share my celebrations. And you're right, not everybody resonates with it. And I also trust the universe that the people I'm supposed to be hanging with are the ones who are vibing in the same place.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
It works out.
It's finding our tribes within tribes.
Yes, exactly. Well, thank you very much. I've gone over a little bit. Can you tell a person's aura as soon as the person's aura as soon as they walk in the room? I can feel the energy. So I don't, outside of spiritual or just the gifts of seeing colors and all that other stuff, I think you could ask this to anybody. Have you ever had a time when somebody walked in a room and you knew they were in a crappy mood, right? So Donna, body language, sometimes you can literally, it just feels, right? So Donna, have you ever had a time when just something felt off and you didn't know or necessarily see something? And I think that's a muscle that we all use. It's like you trust your gut. It's a muscle that we all use. Yes, see, so Donna, exactly. Do I literally see, sometimes I literally see people's colors and they walk in and they're dark gray. But more often it's actually just a very normal experience of it's that intuitive knowing, right? Because that energy, frankly, even though we can't physically see it, in the sixth sensory world, it is being emitted. Same way you can see somebody just shining, right? You can see it in their eyes, those kinds of things. Even if there's a picture of me, it's somewhere on my blog, but there's a picture of me and I'm dressed to the nines. I'm in a suit. My makeup is all done, but I literally look like a corpse. It's freaky. I don't even want to dig for it, but I'm giving a presentation at a conference and I look like a corpse. And it wasn't bad lighting. It was just I was so far from my real self. I had to stick up my ass. I was nice. Thought I was happy, but I was congested, energetically congested, constipated. So, okay, we got Donna's questions answered. With that, we've gone over. Thank you for being here. And I will see you on Periscope later this evening, I'm sure. Again, we'll be putting this up at AllisonCrow.com/blab-chats. And look forward to a couple more interviews. For the next 3 weeks, I'll be doing 2 to 3 interviews a week with various people like Jeffrey, who are just amazing models of share your heart, show your work. And they're giving of their being, who they be. They're sharing who they be. In the social media world. So thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you, Annalisa, for sharing your husband with me for the evening, and all you guys who showed up. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye, you guys.
Bye.